Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Landry Sadbo, Diplomat Consultant and Co-Chairman.
Representative from the Budget Department, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ade Shofola. I'm the Project Director for the Universal Health Coverage through Primary Healthcare Revitalization Project.
I've heard a lot of very fantastic comments since I came into the room. And I have been quite emotional. It's painful that something that started as a simple program funded by FCDO many years ago, 12 years ago, to address maternal mortality and infant mortality, after 12 years, is coming to an end. It's coming to an end for something new to happen. It's coming to an end because great things have been done by successive stakeholders, project participants, community members, and every one of us in this room. Some of us started this journey together 12 years ago. So many joined the journey just midway. And every one of us, everyone made significant, is making significant contributions. The joy and what gives me a lot of excitement is that E4A, we may be celebrating its closure today, but has opened up a world of opportunities for mothers in Lagos State, in Nigeria, in the African continent. We can now, in all excitement, like my dear Mamaye in Alimosho, toward in her voice, have a space to engage, irrespective of where you are in the, I call it in the demography. Whether you have young professionals, civil society, formal groups, informal groups. Mamaye, a phenomenon which has just started in a new level and dimension, has come to stay. It's very, very difficult in my experience. I welcome my brother, Dr. Boye, into the room. Many years ago, Dr. Boye, I was technical advisor embedded in Lagos State SACA when he was program manager. And I never knew that he'd be part of the Mamaye journey. Today, he's champion of Mamaye. Maybe no wonder your name is ending with Ye. So by default, in a good time, this program has come to stay. In this room, Ministry of Information. In this room, Ministry of Budget and Planning. In this room, Ministry of Health. In this room, which other ministry again? Several other MDAs that were mentioned. Gives me confidence. That's what the tears I shed so many years ago. I don't know whether Madam Ludara can remember. But very few people, I don't think anybody in this room will remember. Around 2013, I lost my immediate younger sister to PPH in Lagos. Now the sad part of it is that Dr. Jide Idris was the Commissioner for Health at that time. And Madam Oludara was the FP coordinator. She was in charge of family planning. The sad part, which pained Dr. Idris and a lot of the stakeholders, was that Christmas, just before Christmas, I was then interim country director for Maristos. I had come to Lagos and donated thousands of doses of my misoprostol to Lagos State government. And I went overseas for vacation. And on January 10th, I was being told that my sister died. And we saw the prescription notes. She was being told to go and buy my misoprostol. Yet I gave thousands of doses on the 14th of December to Lagos State government. They were shipped in already. So you can imagine the pain when Dr. Idris said we need to investigate this death. We need to look at this matter. I never knew Mamaye was part of this story. But that one loss gave a lot of life opportunities to a lot of mothers. Because Dr. Idris and the Lagos State government took it personally. The Lagos State Health Service Commission took it personally. And I'm so happy that today, that momentum is still here. That affirmation is still here. That we will keep making sure that women don't die from preventable causes. And children get to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our very opening to a new world. Yes, we'll celebrate the closeout, but we are open to a new world of realities where mothers will survive and children will survive. Welcome.
To Governor on Health, Dr. Kemi Ogunyeli, Country Lead Mamaye, Dr. Esther Agbon, the Chairman of the MPDSR, a man who I honestly admire the energy he puts into this work, Dr. Imosemi, representative of PSPHC Board, Francis Adiosu, representative of the PSHSC, Dr. Adebi. Dr. Adebi. Okay. Our colleagues from the Ministry of Information Strategy and MEPB, our development partners, members of LASAM, and somehow I just forgot to mention Dr. Ufoma Omobi, the Options Regional Director, and as he has told you, is someone I've known for a very long time. I'll just start with the Mamaye, Oboye bit. You know, the truth is, I've always wondered why people say Mamaye, Mamaye, that child to you, Mamaye is about saving the life of the mother and the child. So Mamaye. But then I was informed that the name was actually imported from somewhere else. And in all the other places where it's been, it's just called Mamaye, Mamaye, Mamaye. So maybe we will here, we will change it to Mamaye when the next iteration of the program comes, because it means more to us as Mamaye. I'd just like to say good morning to everyone, and I seem to always end up apologizing for being late to places in the morning, but
no excuse to them. Traffic, family.
No, today I was actually informed very late. So, but I'm not going to blame it on them. I will take the blame for it. So anyway, I apologize for arriving late. And well, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the Evidence for Action Mamaye Closeout Ceremony, an event dedicated to celebrating the achievements and successes of the Mamaye partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Health. I want to appreciate you all for taking the time out of what is, I mean, we all know is a very busy schedule for all of you, as well as the challenges moving around Lagos to celebrate this success story that is Evidence for Action. I seem to recall this is the second time I'm attending a closeout ceremony for Evidence for Action Mamaye and the Options UK partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Health. And I remember also stating at the last closeout that I was looking forward to welcoming them back again into Lagos. And so I refuse to say bye-bye to Options and Mamaye, just to say, see you later.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will expect you back very soon. As a state, we're always happy to welcome our partners because we understand that partnerships with key stakeholders gives us more leverage, more mileage, and more support to do more for the people of Lagos State. Lagos State as a thriving urban hub recognizes the critical importance of partnerships in shaping the future of its population and fostering sustainable development. We have been delighted as a state to work with the Evidence for Action, Mamaye and Options UK through the initial phase as well as the extension phase and the super extension phase that we're designing as we sit here today. The Mamaye support to the state has truly been a beneficial experience for the state in the maternal and child health space, with core focus on the maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response program. And I really must apologize or commiserate with Dr. Omobi. And I think it underscores the work we do here together and the work that someone like Dr. Imoseni dedicated a lot of his life to doing. Because sometimes we make it about statistics, but really every number there is a person who has a lot of different connections and whose death means a lot to a lot of different people. So sometimes if you're looking maternal death, 512 per thousand, it's not 512 chickens or goats. 512 people who have probably left 3 other young children behind and whose lives will never be the same again. So it's important that we see beyond statistics in trying to address this issue. Your passion for our shared vision in the health sector and your dedication have been commendable. So today we're all come together to celebrate the excellent support from the MPDSR data computerization, various scorecards, the activities of the super activists to providing technical support to the family planning and adolescent health programs. We're grateful to have this support to Lagos State, and I thank you. On behalf of Lagos State, on behalf of the Lagos State government, I thank you, and I welcome you all to the Evidence for Action, Mamaye and Options UK Closeout Workshop. It is what you believe.
It gives me great pleasure to be here today. It's my first one, for obvious reasons. I wasn't here at the last one. But it's actually a program that is dear to my heart. And before I start, I just want to say, just follow with what Dr. said. Condolences to you and your family. I'm really, really sorry. But you know what? When you were talking, everybody kind of like kept quiet. Like, they weren't moving around, so there was dead silence. And then it just brings us the reality, it just brings us back to focus on this is the reason why we're here. It's to prevent this kind of stuff that happened to make sure, one, death is too many. It's that simple. And like Dr. rightly said, you know, let's also always remember there's somebody behind all the stats and all the things we're talking about, and we're sitting down here and we're closing out, but it's about people like your sister, may her soul rest. Because I don't know whether to say Mamaye, Mamaye, or Mamaye. So I'm just going to go with the flow, whichever one comes to me. When I see the word, I just say. So if I say Mamaye, it's just I'm Yoruba, Mamaye. I do it very, very well. But I will try. I will try. Mamaye. So I'll beat Dr. Oye because he went back to Mamaye. It gives me, again, great pleasure to be here today for the closeout ceremony for Options UK and Evidence for Action, Mamaye. To celebrate the various achievements and successes in Lagos State concerning the RMN and CAH+N interventions. So many abbreviations, but I know you all know those abbreviations. So I was exceptionally delighted to have read about all the support Mamaye gave to Lagos at various levels, from health facility level to the state as a whole. E4A E4A, Mamaye, joined the partnership that worked on establishing an accountability mechanism for the state. And this mechanism has grown to be a showcase for the Lagos State Ministry of Health, and it really has. Mamaye joined the dynamic partnership of Lagos State Ministries, departments and agencies, development partners, CSOs, and the media to work tirelessly and voluntarily to ensure that as a government, we try to live up to our expected roles and responsibilities. We are delighted as a state to have worked with the Evidence for Action, Mamaye, and Options UK through the initial phase and extended phases. But like somebody said, this is not the end. We're just going to continue because we can't just say we've stopped because there's still plenty of work to be done. E4 Mamaye supported the formation of the State Accountability Platform, Lagos State Accountability Mechanism for Maternal and Newborn Health, LASAM, that has brought together the government, civil society, professional bodies, development partners, the media, community leaders, and individuals to review, analyze, and take actions by advocating for improved resource allocation and service delivery for maternal, newborn, and child health programs in the state. We are happy to announce that LASAM's program and processes have now been sustained by the State Ministry of Health through dedicated budgetary provision in our annual budgets. In addition, and with this partnership, E4A Mamaye supported the Ministry and LASAM partnership to generate MPDSR, MNCH, service delivery, and health budget data using existing data sources in the state to provide evidence in form of scorecards. These scorecards include MNCH stockout of essential life-saving commodities in primary and secondary health facilities, family planning, and health budget scorecards. That's the evidence subcommittee of LASAM now independently produces and disseminates these scorecards. Through E4A Mamaye's capacity building sessions on smart advocacy, members of the advocacy subcommittee have utilized these scorecards as advocacy tools to policymakers and funders for increased support to maternal and child health. This advocacy has led to budgetary allocation for family planning at the PHCB and sustained sustained allocation of funds for essential living saving commodities at the Ministry of Health. E4A Mamaye also supported LASAM Knowledge Management and Communications (KMC) subcommittee by training them on investigative and journalism and supported them to use MNCH evidence to write objective stories and news commentaries that has spurred actions in the improvement and rehabilitation of some primary and secondary health centers in the state. The story of E4A Mamaye in Lagos State will not be complete without the success that is the MPDSR program. E4A Mamaye supported the maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response system by supporting the State Ministry of Health to institutionalize the MPDSR processes at facility and state level. We are grateful for the success of the computerization program of the MPDSR data collection process and happy that as a state we have been able to take ownership of this process and have a server now domiciled at the Ministry of Information, Science and Technology. Some positive outcomes experienced by MPDSR focal persons at the health facilities were that the digitized MPDSR led to time savings, improved quality of their data, and improved their practice as health professionals, clinicians. E4A Mamaye trained 40 selected community leaders and health professionals as MNH, community super activists, across the 20 LGAs of Lagos, with requisite knowledge to communicate effectively and mobilize their communities to ensure that they always take actions to prevent the death of any pregnant woman and her baby in their environs. These MNH super activists, in turn, have recruited others to join them. These are ordinary people doing extraordinary work for the survival of pregnant mothers and their babies in the various spheres of influence. Like they say, it takes a village. I would like to use this opportunity to thank all members of the Lagos State Accountability Mechanism last month, here present, for this immense support to the state and to Options UK for the unwavering assistance to the state as a whole. With our teeming population, we understand that there's more work to be done in reducing our maternal and child deaths and making government more accountable to their roles and responsibilities, which we take very seriously. We are mindful of the huge investment in the state and understand the importance of sustainability of high-impact interventions, while we have sustained funding of the MPDSR and LASAM program over the past few years and will continue to prioritize these programs. I wish to, on behalf of the state government, express our heartfelt appreciation to E4A Mamaye for the trust and collaboration we have shared over these last few years. We shall miss the dedication to improving the Lagos State health system, but wish you continued success in your future endeavor. If you come back for a third phase, which I hope you will, we shall also gladly welcome you back. Once again, I thank you all for taking time out to join us to celebrate E4A Mamaye. Thank you so much.
The E4A team and the Ministry of Health collaboration on what they have been doing in the past 7 years. When I heard about it yesterday, I started browsing about it and I said, oh, anytime on maternal care, I'm sure you know, the Health Service Commission is basically in it 100%. And when I said it was a closeout, I wanted to always say, you know, when you hear closeout, someone like us who have been in development work for years, it's always a new opportunity coming on board. So I believe that with this new opportunity coming, I'm sure it's going to come through the Ministry of Health. We hope that the HSC will also be involved one way or the other, especially because the HSC sees a large chunk of pregnant women in their facilities. I'm sure the permanent secretary will be happy to know that this is happening and that whatever is happening now will be a benchmark for the future and to move things in the right direction in the future. So I always say thank you on behalf of the permanent secretary, Government Health Service Commission. Thank you very much. God bless you.
A reflection on the journey we embarked all together throughout the project, the Mamaye project. Over the past 2 years, we were all dedicated to improving, maternal health and child survival in Lagos and Nigeria. Through the commitment to ensuring that the best available data, health system data, is actually utilized effectively. Facilitating collaboration among all of us, multi-stakeholders, accountability mechanisms, and transforming all those data into actionable insights. Some strides were made. Despite all the challenges, we had a lot of challenges. We had challenges along the way. While it's true that we did not achieve all, I'm talking about last time, right? All our intended objectives or deliverables. The lesson we have learned, navigating through all these obstacles have been invaluable. In this regard, I was happy to see that the team of the panel discussion with resilience of the state accountability mechanisms make a lot of sense. Looking ahead, I'm optimistic about the potential for continued progress and impact in improving the healthcare system in Lagos, and I urge all stakeholders, particularly the CSOs, and I insist, the CSOs, to remain actively engaged
within LASA, within the coalition, supporting the government executives, in their endeavors to enhance the healthcare system delivery for all citizens. Together, let us build. He rightly said there were so many things that were actually, in terms of foundation, already put in place. Let us build upon what was already done and move forward and get to the level where we have a platform that is actually working sustainable. Thank you very much.
I bring you warm greetings from the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Ibrahim Mustafa, who is unavoidably absent. I'm here wearing two caps, representing him, and in my capacity as the Director of Pharmaceutical Services. The Mamaye project has, in the last few years, helped to entrench, particularly at the Primary Health Care Board, a lot of teamwork, accountability, a lot of unlearning, learning, and relearning. And that's especially for the healthcare workers. Now, the Primary Health Care Board is also translated. So a lot of sustained, continuous availability of life-saving commodities. And when you're talking of misoprostol, you're talking of oxytocin, you're talking of ORS zinc, you are talking of magnesium sulfate. I can tell you that in the last 5 years, we've had continuous availability because of the Mamaye project. This, of course, is not because we've not had, because of the sustained, the work ethics, data harmonization and all. It has also translated to maternal health, improved maternal health indices at the Primary Health Care Board. We have, through this, joined them at the state level to ensure that we have turned out repeatedly on a quarterly basis the MNCH scorecard that we've used to make advocacy to government, and this has also been very, very impactful. Kudos to the members of the Evidence for Action team. On behalf of the Permanent Secretary Lagos State Primary Health Care Board, I'd like to congratulate everyone on this closeout, and then would like to implore everyone to continue to work together to sustain our achievements so that we can continue to improve the maternal health indices in Lagos State. Thank you very much.
I started with the E4A Mamaye project in Ondo State. And 2015, we came to Lagos, and we started fully in Lagos in the year 2016. But looking at the period between 2012 and 2015, the first investment we had was from DFID, now FCDO. And our focus then was to see a change, in a situation whereby we see more women surviving childbirth. And that culminated in a campaign that if there are safe health facilities, if all the resources are available, and the women, the children, are actually accessing these services, definitely more women will be able to survive childbirth. Next slide. So, in the beginning in Lagos State, next slide, we started out with the Mamaye campaign launch in December 2016. And when we started out, we believed that everyone can take action to ensure that a mother survives childbirth, and that every baby are given the opportunity to lead. And we started out with identifying, like it was mentioned in the essays remarks. We decided to look at who are those that are doing extraordinary things to ensure that mothers and newborns survive childbirth. And we decided to give them an honor as the Mamaye heroes. And I'm glad we have two of them in the house this morning. We have Dr. Imosemi Donald as one of our Mamaye heroes. You know, when you get to know all the efforts, the sacrifices, the commitment and the passion that Dr. Donald Imosemi, you know, deploys in ensuring that mothers survive childbirth in Lagos State, you will know that actually it was the honor, and we appreciate you for your commitment, sir. Another person is also someone from the community, Mama Oroja. You are Yani. Okay, so she even came to she was given a plaque, and we actually recognized her contributions. She's a formidable woman. And when you talk about healthcare delivery in Alimosho, when you are calling on community people, Mama Oroja is always at the forefront. She's never tired. Her whole life, in fact, the way this woman walks sometimes, you know, God bless you, ma'am. Thank you for what you are doing for mothers and babies in Lagos. So, we started the campaign. We went around communities in Lagos State, carrying out the Mamaye campaign, educating the community people, recognizing danger signs in pregnancy and all that. And all this was well mobilized and coordinated by the Directorate of Family Health and Nutrition. So we appreciate the Directorate of Family Health and Nutrition, because the Mamaye campaign, you know, saw through a lot of communities, individuals signing up to becoming activists as MNH activists, mobilizing people to access and, you know, create more demand for maternal and child health services in PACs in Lagos State. And I could also remember then we brought in the blood transfusion service, and we had a lot of blood donors in the communities, you know, to ensure that at least the facilities, they have blood to save lives whenever it is required. And when that phase, you know, finished, we now started another phase, and that was the phase between 2016 and 2019. And what actually shaped our focus for that particular era is to look at, okay, we need to ensure that evidences are actually used to inform state plans and budgets, so that there will be adequate resources for maternal, newborn and child health care service delivery in Lagos State. And we believe that if women and girls have access to good quality health services, thousands of lives will be saved every day. Next slide. And after that era, we now got into the phase of 2019 to 2022, and we'll call it the sustainability era. We've gone through different phases. How then do we ensure that all our interventions, our workings with the Lagos State Accountability Mechanism for Maternal, Newborn and Child Health, our work with the state maternal, perinatal, child surveillance and response programs are sustained in the state. And I actually want to commend the Lagos State Ministry of Health. In all the states that we have worked in Nigeria, at least we have worked in 11 states. Lagos State is the only state that have included a budget item for the work of the state-led accountability mechanism. And they started in the year 2020. You know, when we were going, it was like, okay, we don't know how our next phase is going to be. How will LASAP continue with all their processes, generation of evidence and all that. And I could remember then when the first round of scorecards were produced in 2017, 2018, when Dr. Idris, then the Honorable Commissioner for Health, saw those scorecards, it was like, oh, I've been looking out for things like this. And, he always looked forward to the periodic, production of that scorecard, because it became a monitoring tool for the health system to look at resources are being, put into the health system. What is this resources generating to? What are the outcomes of these efforts? And they are able to use that to track the system. And you could see also from the message from the Director Pharmaceutical Services, the scorecards for stock out of essential life-saving commodities, became something very important in looking at what are the issues, the bottlenecks around availability of all these commodities in public health facilities in Lagos State. And they were able to put some actions into place, down to who is actually recording this stock out data in facilities. Who is supposed to go and collect the commodities, who is doing the forecasting, all those things were checked, and who is recording data. And today, I'm proud to say that Lagos State is, is championing the cause in terms of ensuring that life-saving commodities are available across all public health facilities in Lagos State. Next slide. So, in terms of the sustainability too, we supported the State Ministry of Health. That partnership brought about ensuring that the EMPBSR system that was started needs to be hosted by the state and being managed directly. Because initially we started with a vendor and all that, but the state took it up and they own it. And right now, they are running with that platform. So when we now come to 2022 and 2024, so 2024 rather, we see a world where everyone is an advocate. You can do something, it's like where we started from, it's a campaign, everybody can take action. And I can remember then all the t-shirts, the caps, I'm taking an action to save the baby, I'm taking an action to save the mama. Now we are going back. Everybody can take an action. We know we are generating evidence. We are using the evidence to inform planning, to inform actions, to ensure that mothers and babies survive childbirth. You can do something in your community, in all our spheres of influence. Everybody can do something to ensure that at least any pregnant mother within their community survives childbirth. And at this point, we also want to look at what are those gender and social norm issues that actually impede positive health outcomes for pregnant mothers, most especially. If you also, if you look at our CMPDSR system, we were able to bring in gender equity and social inclusion into that particular program to ensure that right from the communities, all these delays in seeking care, in accessing care, all those will be addressed, so that no mother or baby will die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth. And then we also want to see that the E4A Mamaye becomes a sustainable Africa-led collective. And at this point, we're already building a movement across Africa. E4A Mamaye is working in Nigeria, we've worked in Sierra Leone, in Senegal, we're in Kenya currently. So, local advocates, people that have the passion, that have the drive to ensure that policy stakeholders deliver on their promises and they are accountable for the survival of mothers, of babies, of girls, are given the evidence and the push to ensure that at least they deliver on this their promises. So we are building that movement. That is the evidence, the Mamaye Collective Africa. It's already, that movements have already started, and we'll hear more about it during the panel discussion. So what has been our approach? It has been an accountability model, bringing all stakeholders together to look at what evidences are available in terms of service delivery, in terms of personnel, in terms of commodities, in terms of the resources, the budget, and then, generate this data, produce scorecards as evidences, and use those evidences to power advocacy to the right people who can take the desired actions that will improve the system. And we believe that if all these are done, and looking at gender transformative advocacy, that all the decisions are made, putting into consideration any issue that is related to gender that can impede positive health outcomes for mothers and girls are addressed. And once all these inform state plans and actions, then we can be sure that we'll have quality RMSA services for women and children in Nigeria. Next. So now we want to look at our impact and outcomes. Like I said, we've been in Lagos State since 2016. So in the course of our work, we were able to develop some tools in collaboration with the state-led accountability mechanisms across the countries where we have worked. And then we've been able to produce what we call the global public goods. These are tools that we have used for capacity building for the slams, that's the state-led accountability mechanisms across the regions where we've worked over the years. And these are part of the legacies we are leaving behind as evidence for action Mamaye. We have all these tools on our website that anybody can access and also adapt to suit their purposes to build capacity. We have the Health Budget Advocacy Toolbox that contains all the tools that we have used in terms of the health budget performance analysis tool. We have the budget cycle mapping tool. We have the budget, the funding flow mapping tool. All these tools we've used to build capacity of LASAM to be able to generate the evidences they have been using for advocacy. We also have the advocacy handbook, which contains step-by-step processes of how to develop strategies for advocacy and ensure that at least they get results of advocacies. And we have an improved version of it that we call the Gender Transformative Advocacy Handbook, which integrates GESI, that's Gender Equity and Social Inclusion, into RAMCA advocacy programming. We have the accountability framework tool that LASAM itself uses to measure their progress and performance in terms of delivery on accountability. We also have coalition transformation pathway framework. We have the coalition steps to change tool. We have a guide to coalition building GESI mainstreamed, and that is if anybody also wants to build a structure like the state-led accountability mechanism like LASAM, we have a guide that such programs can also pick up and adapt and use. We have tools that we have developed for community NPDSR. The work we did in Kaduna is speaking for itself. And then we had some reports, I think from Ajiromi Felodun, one of the super activists had to, after this training, went back to engage their local government chairman, and the PAC in their community was renovated. In the labor room, there was no window, so women were not even going there to go and deliver. Just simple putting window and curtain, it revitalized that PAC. They provided water, they provided power supply, and everything began to work for them. So those are the kind of work that these super activists engaged in their communities. And I've also mentioned that the Lagos Slam is now being funded by from the public budget since the year 2020. So in terms of health financing, we've seen increased expenditure of family planning from 0% in 2020 to 60% in 2021. We all agreed during the COVID, a lot of, there was the prioritization of some other health services, and all focus was on intervention, to reduce the impact of the pandemic. And there were a lot of struggles when LASAM initially conducted health budget performance analysis at the end of the first quarter of the year, and it was zero release for any of the RAMCA services. We actually utilized digital media advocacy, and before you knew it, whoever knew somebody tagged somebody, using Twitter advocacy and all that, and the information, was escalated. And by July, August that same year, the approved funds for RAMCA, we had about 84% of it being released before the end of the year. So we've seen the efforts that LASAM, has been able to make in terms of mobilizing resources. And I actually quoted this 680 million for family planning between 2018 and 2022. So if you see the allocation for family planning in the health budget performance review that has been done, we can calculate and see, oh, this is an amount of money that LASAM has been able to mobilize for family planning in the state. Because when we initially came in, when LASAM began budget performance analysis, there was no specific budget item for family planning. So it was in that process that advocacies began, and then we had family planning brought out of the average budget, and then we are able to track FP resources specifically, and we've seen a lot of increase over the years. And then we've also seen increase in PSCB family planning expenditure over the years, and then we've been able to also see an increase in budget allocation for health from 6.33% in 2017 when we first did the health budget scorecard, and then up to 10.61%, moving towards achieving the 15% Abuja declaration. So in terms of the health system strengthening, we've supported Lagos State to establish the digital electronic data collection system for NPDSR. And then when we look at all the capacity building we've done on NPDSR over the years, we've been able to count up to about 300 healthcare workers, that their capacities has been built. And we celebrate it today. Zero stockout of essential life-saving commodities in public health facilities in Lagos State since 2021. When we came in 2016-2017, stockout was about 65%, across the facilities in Lagos. But with the consistent production of the stockout scorecard, and then using that data to improve the system, today no facility is reporting stockout. That is the public health facilities. None of them is reporting stockout in Lagos State. And then in terms of quality of care, we've strengthened accountability and quality of care improvement for mothers and newborns in 23 health facilities across Lagos State. Those are the facilities that we started out with. Then later there were additions, about 2 or 3, the MCs that were added, and NPDSR is also happening in all those facilities. And we've seen improved availability of blood banking services and essential life-saving commodities in all the health facilities. So these are some of our examples of our work in Nigeria. So, like the options have so many other programs in country that we're doing, but basically we've been able to build trust, strengthen ties across different actors, across the states where we work, and then increase access to information, improve transparency, also engaging with communities to understand all those cultural and religious beliefs that hinders positive health outcomes for mothers and babies. Next slide. So, E4A Mamaye believes in everyone becoming an advocate for mothers and newborns. The Mamaye Africa Collective. This Mamaye Africa Collective has started, and it's a coming together of state-led accountability mechanisms at national levels across the countries of Africa. There is a national body in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Sierra Leone, in Senegal, all advocates. Any organization that's working on rampant advocacy, any state-led accountability mechanism working on rampant advocacy, any advocacy coalition, whether at grassroots, they can all become members of the the Mamaye Africa Collective. And the aim is to ensure that we put rampant issues on both regional and national policy agendas so that we can see improved distribution of resources, improved delivery of quality care, and more mothers and more babies, more girls surviving across Africa. Thank you. And we are glad that E4A Mamaye has been able to contribute his own little quota to the development of Lagos State. Thank you very much.
Hero, the Mamaye hero. So I'm going to invite the chairman of the Lagos State MPDSR Technical Committee, Dr. Donald Wilson. So the first question is, as we all know, LASSAM generates and uses evidence, especially in this project, to engage with policymakers in advocacy. I know that Adenike had already sort of talked about some tools that Mamaye has developed, but it would be really useful to hear the tools that you've used in.
One of the strengths of LASSAM with support of Mamaye is actually this aspect of harnessing the data available. And we can't talk about data without our evidence subcommittee and our able chair, Basit Barua, who has been very instrumental and fired up in ensuring we get this data together. Because as we know, it's not easy to harness all the various data available. And that's one of the things which we've got with regards to, first, our health budget scorecard, which actually has been something which we have been using year in, year out to be able to track the various aspects of health financing in Lagos, both the allocations and the releases. And in fact, it's very interesting that at the very beginning, the first one we did, there were a lot of reds in the scorecards being as they are. And we had this data from government. But because it brings out the gap so glaringly, higher up, by the time it was shared the very first time, then we had a lot of feedback. Where did this come from? I mean, the director may remember. You see, for instance, the scorecard on the essential life-saving commodities, availability of that in the public facilities. You can imagine when some facilities have red and at that time was 5% stock out. So by the time you bring all the various program officers and from those facilities, and they are now challenged with that, they have to speak up. Why is this happening? I know director will be occasionally we have those roundtables, and they have to say what's the problem. Is it from data rendition? A lot of it is maybe they're not getting the data. Maybe it's the last mile distribution, they're not collecting the commodities. So what was the problem? And that was really something that was identified, and you could see the results at the end. Another one, of course, with the MSCH scorecard itself, where there are various indicators, the aspect of the percentage of women receiving ANC for 20 weeks and after, and the rest. These are all things that have been very much on the table, and as we see, especially across each local government, because every local government will have to now stand forth and say, hey, why is it like this? Why we saw all kinds of data which had to be queried. And I think that's something that really this last time really brought forth, the idea of data, credible data, data rendition, the gaps in data. This is something that has really come up, and I think it's a strength which we can really build on. Thank you.
So following on from that, I mean, sort of understanding the analysis of the data and the importance of that, right, for policymakers. I don't know whether you can talk to any specific outcomes around that engagement, and that has led to how the policymakers have dealt with RMNCH delivery and services in the state. What has that led to in real terms for people who are accessing those services.
Yes. When they stock out, we have the example of what could happen in one case. So imagine in so many cases, so many facilities, but now that is stopped in our public health facilities in Lagos State. So how do we quantify the impact of that? Another one, of course, with regards to the family planning and reproductive health financing. Before, there was even no budget for family planning previously, but as a result of sustained advocacy, we now have that both at the Ministry of Health. We have the commodities being budgeted for. At the primary health care, we had 50 million, it was budgeted. And after some years, as a result of the political economy analysis here, we managed to get with the First Lady's intervention at the last minute there. For the very first time, it was around November, we managed to meet up with her. And that year, we got the first time the releases of the family planning budget of 50 million. And this was a result of the collective effort and, of course, the gateway openings from the director and others who are gathered here. So we see, step by step, there have been various interventions, various outcomes as a result of the collective advocacy and the data that we're getting, so that we're not just approaching policymakers out of sentiment, but with hard facts. And I think we've seen further down the line, even recently, the 1% consolidated revenue fund, or the equity fund, which we've been talking about, advocating for, His Excellency, Mr. Governor has actually had an executive order where that is on the table. So the next advocacy is to make sure that it's actually released. So I think we're getting there as a result of all what we're doing here. Thank you. Round of applause for Mr. Governor.
So moving on to now from the advocacy to the policy influencing and how that is working in government, particularly looking at collaboration for RAMCA policy influencing. Dr. Isizodara, I'm going to move on to you with a couple of questions, if you don't mind. I guess it would be really interesting to understand if you had any examples of the ways that LASAM has collaborated specifically with government agendas to bring about transformative changes in RAMCA services.
Yeah, thank you very much. The people at the forefront of this discussion are referred to as the vulnerables. That is the children and the women. Before the establishment of LASA, there was, it's very hard, difficult for people to really understand what, the problem, the magnitude of the problem affecting our women and children. And you as a healthcare provider, you might understand, but the people releasing the funds might not really understand. But everybody actually is familiar with the color coding for traffic, which we use for the scorecard. And nobody wants to be in the red. We all know what red is. So I remember when the first scorecard came out, and even the LASAM supporters ended up posting it to one of the newspaper, local newspaper took it, and then the governor then saw it, and he had to summon all the decision makers in the ministry to a meeting. That what is happening? Is it true that so number of women are dying in Lagos? And that actually spurred everybody to action at that time. And you can see the evidence that we have today. And at that time, most of our indicators were actually red. It was red, there were lots of stockouts. At the primary level, there was nothing people could do. They didn't know anything. The family planning commodities were not getting to where they're supposed to. Even when the federal brings it, how does it get to the delivery site? Somebody had to be responsible for that. And the scorecard was bringing reasons, for failure at that time. And were able to convince the government, and of course, the government in his magnanimity increased the budget. Then it was only the Ministry of Health that had budget for reproductive health. And a little chunk was being released for family planning. But with the evidence, it was so obvious that the local government needed to come in, the PSC board needed to wake up, and everybody had a responsibility, realize his or her own portion, and we all sat up, and did everything to make what we are seeing today work. And the red, if you're in red, it means we are not doing well. If you're on amber, it means you are neither here nor there. Nobody wants to be on the fence. We always want to be on the green. And right now, we're even using it as part of our evidence for requesting for funds, even from Mr. Governor. And it's so easy, it's very easy for everybody, irrespective of whether you're a medical person or medical specialist or not, to know that these things are all red, these things are all yellow. It means we are not doing, bad. I mean, we are not doing good enough. So it's very easy when we explain it even in our proposals for people to understand, people that matter to understand, and has been an advocacy tool even to the State Treasury Office, and nobody wants to, with the indicators, we tell them and then they release the funds to us.
Great, thank you so much for helping in terms of releasing funds and memo writing within government at the moment. I wanted to ask one further question about, and you sort of alluded to it, still using some of that traffic light system, but what is the enabling environment you think that exists for LASAM to remain sustainable, essentially, and resilient in driving accountability for RAMCA?
Okay, when LASAM started and were introduced to the strategy, we knew that that was what we wanted, because it gave an opportunity for us to be able to triangulate all the data that we collect in various sources, including the involvement of the private sector. And then we were able to actually, it did take us time before we integrate it as part of activities we're supposed to request for money for. And just as it's been presented, now Lagos has a budget for LASAM every year, and our permanent secretary is so passionate about LASAM. He also experienced, the importance and the success stories behind it, and he's been assisting us to push it. It's important for us to mention here that every other, even though it was difficult to get approvals at a particular year, and our permanent secretary took the file for LASAM, by hand to make sure that happened. And there's no other support you can wish than that. And so, even with the MPDSR as well, which is also a subset of this program, they are all accountability mechanism strategy that we are using. And all our superior officers, they know the importance, and we are driving with it.
Thank you. As we know, they're still building on RAMCA, that's saving lives of mothers, babies, and girls, and making sure that the services are improved. If it's available, it must be improved to a standard. And the collectives, courts across nations. We have Senegal, okay, it's been mentioned earlier anyway, so let me not belabor it with it. So for the Nigerian sector, that's the national SLAM, a group of other coalitions, be the grassroots, state level and so on, they must key into the state level, since they are offering maternal and child or RAMCA programs in whatever they do. So they can key into that, and from there, they have their executives, they have their aims and objectives, which it's in line with Mamaye options own, that's saving lives, strengthening advocacy, and so on for improved lives of mothers and children and babies. So they go on to the national. Officers are picked from the state to the national, so they represent them across the regions here to the national. So from the national, they will still pick officers who will represent the continent, that's the Africa collective as a whole. So, and whatever is the offering from there, because it's just to improve the health of the RAMCA health system of all, from Africa to here. So it's to learn best practices from each country, through the peer learning across regions or across states within Nigeria.
Would it only be one officer that would represent at national to move on to the Africa level, and that would amalgamate all the voices of all the states?
They are looking at
4 ESCO members, so not just one voice. Okay. So that one voice cannot come and give anything. So if he says the other 3 can say no, correct, and agree on what was said at the national level. And the same thing from the national. It's not one person. I think it's about 4 or 5 persons will be picked to represent at the regional, at the continental level.
That will give to the state in achieving continued sustained RACA policy influencing in Lagos State.
And I believe they want to, sustain LASA if Mamaye E4A goes out. And then, of course, the advocates, within the KMCs that push out the news and the evidence that generates, the data. I think we'll all be working in synergy to make sure that this is sustainable states.
That Lagos has been able to sustain its EFP-DSR system. And I wondered whether you could share how you've been able to achieve this feat and what are the contributions that it has had to improving maternal and newborn health in Lagos State.
Where we are coming from and where we are now because of this program, you understand why we're very passionate about it. And not only does it, afford or provide the opportunity for intervention at the level of the institutions. I'm talking of the general hospitals, the ministries, the agencies, and of course at the government level. The impact has been felt. Now, what the EBIT does, of course, is to make it a lot much simpler, okay, for us to access data, analyze data, and use this as, a tool to make informed decision. And it's been very, very helpful. So if you have a program which fundamentally works, which fundamentally has improved the indices, or rather, made it a lot easier for us to know what the problems are, and then come up with solutions, and then look at who does what, and then, how it's done and all that. And the figures are changed. You understand why, we're very happy about it. So the EBIT has come in, I think by 2019 or so, 2019, 2020, Mamaye came in. Despite the facing problems, we've been able to overcome some of those problems. You're also aware that in the last 1-2 years or so, the Japa syndrome has really come to challenge us. But Lagos State is so robust and resilient that not only are we proactive, we're not just reactive, we're proactive, and we have very strong institutions that serve, to buffer when some of these, challenges come up. Incidentally, we continue to remain beneficiaries of internal Japanism. There are people that come from other states, they come to us. So it helps us. So specifically, what are we doing? We believe in it. And there have been challenges, we've responded to those challenges. Let me give you an example. When some of the focal persons that were trained left, and all that, it was easy because we foresaw it to mobilize the relevant persons to ensure that we bridge that gap. And we have in place measures to ensure that even for every one person that leaves the system, and fewer people are leaving because of the incentives, you have people who are already prepared to step in. Right now, even the consultants have been trained to ensure that, especially those consultants who are probably too old, as it were, to leave the system. So their bulwark of information, they help, and so it's one way to really sustain, they accept us sustain the system.
Into that system, and you are sort of building in the realities of the movement of our healthcare workers and sort of preparing for what we know is that movement both internally and externally. My second question is, in view of kind of all the emerging partnerships, like Dr. Gray has mentioned, especially for MPDSR in Lagos, how do you think the Lagos State Ministry of Health should be harnessing all the data into the EMPDSR digital platform to enable better, improved MPDSR response in the state? So what do you think they should be doing about harnessing that data, and how should they be utilizing that, essentially that data and the analysis of that data to improve services in the state?
The partners want to, work with us because we created an enabling environment. Okay, so we're proud of that. And we always advise that when they're coming to us, especially at the initial stage, they must let us know what they are doing and we let them know what is on the ground. It's very important. It's one of the minimum requirements, especially in the Ministry of Health. So when they come in, they know what is on the ground. They know our platform, they know our digital system. And once Mamaye let us know that they were leaving, Lagos State quickly responded. Okay, so right in the ministry, there's provision for us to do what Mamaye has been doing. And the Lagos State government, through most, for example, has a very strong server, people with experts that are able to work with partners to ensure that, whatever digital system they want to come up with aligns or keys into what, the most is a Ministry of Science and Technology and all that. Okay, so, and it's very important because we know the importance of data. Yes, Lagos State is rich, but if you look at the theme agenda, each pillar requires a lot of funds. So if you want the state government, if you want the government to, really, you must provide evidence. And so we believe a lot in data. The state government is doing everything possible to ensure, through most and other organs, to ensure that we continue to generate robust data. So for some of our partners that are, that want to come in, for example, since we are exiting, we let them know, for example, if you are coming in, listen, MPDSR is very close to us. We have this eMPDSR that's on. It has its own challenges. Can you come in to form part of it? You understand? Just to replicate, for example, the little gap you are going to need, despite the fact that we have budgetary lines. But there are so many aspects of it, looking at the tablets, for example. So, in other words, we know what we have on the ground. When our partners come in, and we're having several programs just to ensure that we don't have duplications. There's something happening at the level of LVASA, for example. We insist and encourage them to talk to us, to let us know what they have, so that their digital system, keys into what we have. And when there are challenges, we know right from the one what those challenges are. And then, of course, our system is able to respond and all that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making sure that partners understand what the system is on ground, and we're building on that, right? So that we're building a more resilient health system ultimately. And that's where we're going to see improved services. We wanted to really look at the capacity within the eMPDSR system and how that capacity exists to support data collection from other MPDSR interventions, including community MPDSR. I wondered whether you would talk a little bit about that and how that progress has been made in the state.
Thanks to our platform, it has been designed to work with any program being done. We have a customized DHIS platform, which is being run on the back end by the Ministry of Health and the server with the Ministry of Science and Tech. So that's the one that contains, no matter the user, creation of form, creation of offline access to this application. So we're ready for, as long as this program is out there, and the Ministry of Health is ready to create that, to run the self-sustainability program. So now we have this platform that has been created thanks to Mamaye, because they helped us in customizing the dashboard. We're going forward, we have trained officers that can do that.
Thank you so much. At the ministry, at the Primary Health Care Board, to really change and inform policy and planning in terms of reflecting on the data interventions and how that works.
2021, we had a low input from facilities. 2022, we had a low input. But last year, thanks to the PS and the MD, we tried, we went to facilities, we had trainings on data capture. We taught them, we had what are the issues you're facing, what is causing this low input from your thing. And we're able to solve that. Last year, we had a high number of data entry inputs, showing there's been progress. This will enable us to make policies, because the dashboard, you can pull out data from cost of deaths to time of death to places where the deaths occur is a very easy dashboard to pull out your information from. There are indicators that speak specifically to facilities, to the time, to various actions, both perinatal and maternal. This will enable us to push in more resources and
Thank you so much. How we drive the next iteration of what this project might look like. Hopefully with evidence for action, but if not, other partners. And it will be really useful to hear from all of you your final thoughts and recommendations in terms of lessons from the challenges and what the state should really do. So I wanted to start off with you, Ms. Vicky, about your recommendations or your thoughts really for Lagos State. To think through about what should they be doing to really make sure that A, the system is fully embedded, but is also developed in a way that it doesn't remain where it is and sort of goes on to the next level and feeds into national and also regional policy around RAMCA.
I would recommend the LASA being an example to the nation, because I know a time came when LASA was understudied by the Federal Ministry of Health. So it shows that LASA, under the tutelage of our Mama Ramka, everything went on well. So we want to maintain momentum and even go above. Because I read online on the coalition's pathways. And the coalition's pathways, it's a tool we will use to assess, each coalition. So I would like LASAP to go through that pathway. We look at where we are and where we are heading to. And I believe if we say we want to be at the end, we will be at the end and even attract more funders if Mamaye is not coming back. So that's my recommendation for LASAP.
Thank you very much for this accountability mechanism in Lagos. What would your suggestions be, especially when you talked about the surprise around data and analysis within the state? What would your recommendations be?
Yeah, there are quite a few. One of them is something we've been having a challenge with over the years, getting data from our federal health institutions. That seems to be an uphill task. And we have a lot of them here, LUF, NMR, and of course our military facilities, which is a challenge. Somehow we have to spend it has been an advocacy point for a long time, but somehow it hasn't been able to happen. So I think it should be a priority, because if we don't have that, there'll still be a gap in our data rendition for the state. That's a whole lot, so that's one. Second is in regards to the more intense collaboration between the DPRS, this is internal, and of course the Directorate of Family Health, so that there can be a seamless exchange of data, etc. Because a lot of it is data. And we've been saying this, ensuring that we have the budget monitor, health budget monitor, in timely fashion online, so that we don't have to, like now, I've been asking, chasing, I think Dr. Edmund said, where is the health budget monitor for 2024, for instance. So if that is easily available, then we can quickly know, okay, where are the advocacy, where are the gaps, what should we do advocacy for, etc. Another point which we really need to firm up is our linkages with the health, our honorable members in the House of Assembly. There's still a little gap. I heard unofficially that our health budget has been reduced when it came out of the House of Assembly, and a little birdie told me, I don't know. So we need to firm that up, integrate them, let the chairman of health committee become part and parcel of LASAM friend, so that we can plug that gap. So these are a few things I think are very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those recommendations. Thank you. So, Mr. Place, I want to move on to you, and especially around the community engagement, right, around data. I wondered whether you had any recommendations for what the state should be really looking at. And it's really important that we have like community data coming in so that we have like a full picture of what is happening across the state. I wondered whether you had any recommendations based on your work for that.
Going to the community. We need to train how to use this to capture these indicators. How to capture the indicators. Training is important. You just can't carry them to the community without telling them this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it, and this is what's going to come up for this information. Because data is key. And if they're not capturing this data, they can be able to use them. They have to be captured if they are not trained. So training is vital.
Thank you so much.
You are aware that we just be ranked. Lagos is the only state that was ranked in Nigeria. I think we're 8 in Africa. And Mr. Governor wants us to even do better. We can't do it alone. So partners are welcome. The system is there. And with partners and other collaborators, we want to move from A to 3 and ultimately to number 1 in Africa. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Change can really be used to implement across general services, right? Ranker services in the state. I mean, at the moment, we're really focusing on maternal death and child death, but how do we help that to sort of stretch around? What do you suggest the recommendation should be for the state, for PS, for SA, around the lessons that we've learned from this project, and how do we use that in terms of policy change and planning?
At the public health facility level, we already have a good grip on that. But however, our low-hanging fruit has to do with the private sector. And I know that the private sector has more than half of our data. And how we are going to make sure that they render the data they generate at their service delivery point is a major challenge for us. And it's not insurmountable. We are planning to integrate more effectively with the farmer, who is the regulatory body, and also with the associations. There are various associations. And just as someone has mentioned, I think it was Barrister Adebuswe, data from federal institutions as well is very, very important to us, because whether we like it or not, they are taking care of citizens of Lagos. And we are held accountable for everyone in Lagos. And just to also encourage my team that when there is an applaud for what you are doing, it's just a silent saying that do more. So just to encourage them, and also to appeal to our guys here that we are fortunate to have in our midst today, that we shall be coming to request for more funding to be able to realize our dreams. And together we will take Lagos further ahead. Thank you.
The link with the lawmakers, because when they sit down in some of these things, they get a better understanding. So when it comes to budget, so you can imagine if the chairman committee on health was here at the beginning, listening to every single person, and then he sits down when it comes to budget and is questioning us, he will know that, oh yeah, that's true. I heard this from all the stakeholders. So I think that is something that we definitely need to do. So, but I was thinking of the partnership thing, and inside my head I was thinking, why don't we have Papa for Mamaye or something like that? Because in everything we do, when it comes to women, childbirth, the man is involved. He's the one that started the whole thing. And he did. And he's the silent partner.
He's in charge.
He's not in charge. He's not in charge. And the fact that, yes, so I think they are probably, when you're doing your partnership thing, I think they should be the first. They do not want to lose their wives. Yes, it's easy for people to say, yeah, they'll marry again or they have 4 wives. It doesn't matter. The point is that they God forbid, lost a wife, lost a child. So when we come out there and we're telling them, these are the things we want to do to prevent you going through that loss. And sometimes the woman is the breadwinner because maybe the man is incapacitated in one way or the other and relies on his wife. I mean, women are strong. They really are the ones in charge, but we have just allowed the men to be in charge, to believe that they're in charge. And like this, the women outnumber the men in this instance. So you have to give it up to them. No, but I was just thinking, I just said, if you have their buy-in, put them here, for mama, whatever you want to call it, just think about it. I be your community super active. I can't believe. What the heck? yẹn tó cause gbogbo wàhálà yẹn at the beginning. Àwọn wọ́n sì ìyàwó wọn débi tí kò ní sí kankan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀. Ọmọ adẹ́gbòrò ìyá, wọ́n gbòrò ọmọ. That's what we're doing here. So I like that partnership thing, and I think that's something you should. So you know you're coming, Mamaye is coming back. Because we have not done, you're not leaving. So that honestly, and I think you're going to get some traction. I think when the men feel important, they feel that they're in charge, they feel they're in control, they will support whatever it is that we need them because the area that we have not really tapped into when it comes to women's health. Even we discussed it at family planning, that it takes two. Let them also know that they are actually involved in this family planning things, not just the woman. So many areas, raising the children, nutrition, and things like that. So I think you should go for that. Private sector, absolutely. 60%, more than 60% of our patients go to the private sector. We cannot do anything without the private sector. It's not a PPP thing. We're together. Involve them. Let them be here. Let them be part of whatever committee. You'll be amazed at all their issues that we do not know about. So collaboration is the key. We can't do without collaboration. Even in leadership, collaborative leadership is it for any transformation. Without collaboration, you're not going to transform anything. You're going to work in silos. You'll be doing A, B will be doing something else, C will be doing something else. So I'm glad primary healthcare is here. I'm glad HSC is here. We work together. Ministry of Health, we're all under one Ministry of Health. We're one family. So we come together, you're doing this, so that we don't duplicate. We're wasting money as well, and all that. So we know what A is doing, what B is doing, what C is doing. So well done for that. It's amazing how all of you have your specialty and you know what you're talking about. So I've actually learned quite a lot. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Inosemi, whom I've known for a very, very long time. He's been in this thing for forever. He was in HS before they grabbed him in Ministry of Health. And he continues, yeah. So I hear you are the champion. So good job. He will start Papa. He's a papa. No, a man has to start Papa. A man has to start Papa. This is Nigeria. A man has to start Papa. All right, so well done. Thank you.
What it's talking about. So it's been very interesting listening to you. I want to make some comments that will start from the presentation and then talk about the panel as well. And that first issue I want to talk about is the issue of attribution. When Mamaye was making the presentation, although when she was saying it, she said, we've seen increased expenditure, but the bullet said increased expenditure, which then looks like Mamaye increased the expenditure from 0 to 60%. We really need to be careful about attribution. But then going back to attribution again, it is important to be able to attribute certain things. So if we're looking at the data, it would be nice to drill just below the surface and, for instance, look at certain aspects of the data. Look at when certain interventions came in, insert them into the trend and see what the effect of each intervention was if you can see it. What that does is it strengthens your advocacy. If you go to any group to advocate and you say, look, these are the trends, this is where it's going, but look, when we did this, this happened. Two things can happen. One, it saves you wasting all the things you had to do to learn lessons in the public sector. When you move to the private sector, for instance, you would sharpen your interventions to only those things that are known to work. That is what they call implementation science. You are using information to understand what works and what doesn't. So it's important. For instance, we're about to open 3 HDUs in 3 different senatorial districts. If we can insert that into a graph somewhere, and we can see the effect immediately on maternal mortality or neonatal mortality in those places where we've done it, it would be a no-brainer to say, let's have one in each general hospital and in each MCC. It would sell itself. So it's important for us to try and do that if we can. Then the EMPDSR, I like the fact that, and Chris, I've heard a lot of good things about the work you do. We really appreciate it, and I hope we don't lose you and lose all that experience. Yeah, we have to have a conversation about that. It's important. We hope we don't lose you and lose all that experience. Within the hair, it's not even about just out. So we really are going to work on that. We really shouldn't lose you. I really appreciate the work you're doing. But with the EMPDSR, I remember the conversation we had about, all the young people you were training. Yeah, we have this impression when we take tablets somewhere, let's train the young people. They will grab it quicker and everything. But that has shown that they're the ones leaving. So we said, let's train older people that we know are not likely to go anywhere. So we built that capacity, but there's still a problem. We had a meeting on Tuesday with MDs, and there are obvious problems. You see people reviewing more deaths than were actually reported. So what are you reviewing if the person didn't die? So there's still challenges with that. So we need to look at what more can we do to address it. Someone suggested that the challenge is with the tablets and with data, internet and all that. That's why what they upload is not really what gets to the other end. But someone else said, you can actually do it on your phone as well, that the software works on the phone. So maybe we could encourage more people in the facility to be able to do it. So that if it's not about buying so many tablets for them, it's just training them on the platform. More of them can then, when one person isn't around, the other person can just use the phone. So the capacity is there, and a phone connects several times a day, so it will upload maybe more accurately if that is the challenge. So I think that is something we need to do. And of course, we mustn't lose our learning when we're working with the private sector. Then, again, going back to the data issue, I remember the deputy governor, and I've been actually challenged by him a lot of times. He reads a lot around different things. And then he said, oh, I see the nutrition indices are getting worse in Lagos. And we first started with the usual government kind of answer, trying to be political. Then I just paused and I said, look, no, sir, go and look. When last did anybody sign a nutrition memo for us? Last year, we got 0 for nutrition. And so it will happen. So what we need to be able to do is show to him. We could have gone to meet him in his office the next day and said, let's look at 2022. This money was given. This is what happened with nutrition. In 2023, this was given. This one. In 2024, nothing happened, was given. See what has happened. It's also a no-brainer. Someone who is reading about it himself will be the first to say, you know what, go and bring it right now. We will approve it for you and ensure you get it. So let's work hard on the data, but more importantly, let's make meaning of it. Let's go the next level of looking at our trends and inserting interventions along the way and seeing the direct effect of those interventions. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to sign anything that doesn't really prove anything. So and I've told Dr. Dari as well and all my other departments that are under me, I'm not going to take any memo that just says we want to do this and that and that. There's got to be a reason for the money. He may not be a doctor or in the medical, he's so data driven, and you can't even forge the numbers. Because if you forge any number here, you go back and say, how did this number become this number when this one was this one? That's how sharp he is. And once he sees it exactly like the way PS has just said, this is what we did. We didn't do any activities. We haven't done, there's so many activities we haven't done since, we haven't done 22, 23. Yes. But he has to see the graph and see where, when we did this, this was what happened, exactly the way he said. So please, just bear in mind and just think like that. That is what you would want to do as well. When your child brings the homework, doesn't bring the report and says, Mommy, Daddy, I want so and so. And you say, what did you get in your test? Come and show me. Is that they're showing that, and then you look at it and say, last year you came first. How come you came 10th? What happened in between? And then you can say you traveled. You didn't give me money for the books I wanted. I watched too many. That is data. You're asking for information to make you make an informed decision. So I'm just reinforcing what he said, which is very, very important. Because he knows that it's going to come back to him in the end. And what is this? What is this? Don't embarrass me. So well done. Yeah.
Thank you very
Please, my country, you take first, then we can now join.
honorary member of the Ministry of Health.
I was like, what concerns growth statistics is that when I saw the data, I had to come down to the ministry then to ask why I'm part of that. They now told me that in our home palace we call it data. In our own language we call it evidence. That we're saying the same thing. And this time around, rather than just do any data in here, we'll be looking at data specifically talking about further. So let's clap for them. So as I am today, I'm honoring Dr. Yes, First and foremost, why I brought that side up? Because the need to identify quality stakeholders, put them together. That's the first thing that we have to do. Very, 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 very important. And that, through the PS, that thing was actually open-ended. Till today, as we are moving, if there's a particular agency, either private sector or NGO, that are so committed, there's a bring them in. And that has been adding value to what we have. That's the first one. Secondly, like I'm sincere my profession, I love budget. I have a budget. I love budget scorecard. Do you know what? It affected me as a ministry, at the same time affected the DPRS, Ministry of Health. The first indicator talked about state health accounts. When I saw that, I started arresting trying to push the ministry. Where is the state health account? And like the doctor said, the score read consecutively for about 2-3 years. But when I saw after that, I said, wow, we got the message. I started seeing the firing state health accounts, firing state health accounts, firing state health accounts. Now, I'm so pleased that I can say that, I think up to 2022 or something, we have got that. So if not for Mamaye and what we're doing, that should, and that particular document is a request by WHO for us to know our strengthening. Then, aside that, the beauty of public servants working with private sector and the NGO to drive the same process is very logical one. In fact, part of what I've seen was that LASA was able to probably, I won't say take over, was able to show all other those before them, before that coalition or arrangement, but to show them that, look, this thing can work. And that is why what I will see as we move on is that nobody say, please, can we just take it with you? Say, let's say, please, can we take it with you? Showing that, yes, the kind of strength we have to put them together, actually talked. And for my home end of that portion, which is evidence generation, I want to probably thank Director Yadala for assisting me to make sure that we have lackeys, because that aspect was showing. And we are saying that we cannot be measuring using facility data to look at them. But I didn't know that the director got that message. Only for her to say that, Mr. Barua, you know what, we are doing about, so I said, wow. So it means last time actually worked beyond just last time. It really worked to really move the entire data thing to where we need to see it. So I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity for me to be here today. At the same time, I want to thank Dr. Obera and Dr. Johnson for bringing me up to speed on this. For each time I run into all these medical terms, I have to call them. What do we do on this? They will explain to my own understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We met Dr. Basit as young level 12 officers, and we've been discussing data for 20 years now. So we thank you for your support to the Ministry of Health.
Next up are super activists, all the way from Alimosho, the one and only local government. Let's welcome Mama Roger.
Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Some years ago, Mamaye trained and supported so many super activists on MNSCH to mobilize for increased demand for MNSCH services at our various PACs in Lagos. 20 community members, one from each LGA, were trained as trainers and later recruited altogether 600 super activists in Lagos State, including artisan, marketmen, and women. We conducted market storm on family planning and distributed condoms and did referrals. In Alimosho, if you get there, just ask for that short woman, a politician that distributed condoms, and we will be telling them, things are getting better. Yes, things are getting better. When you plan your family, daddy's getting richer, mommy getting prettier, children getting healthier. So when they plan their family, yes, so when they plan their family, daddy will be getting richer, mommy getting prettier, and the children will be getting healthier. During the Mamaye campaign in 3 pillars in Lagos, we did blood donation drive in collaboration with the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service. All about 500 community members donated blood to the blood bank in Lagos State. Super activists like Mrs. Ademi Kebadiro rightly said, in Nigeria, Ifelodun went to meet the local government chairman, the chairman of Ajeromi, Ifelodun chairman, and he renovated their PAC, put windows and curtains in the labor ward, provided running water and generator for the PAC. During the NSAS, I remember vividly, I did not sleep in my house. I slept at Raouf Aregbesola for 5 solid days because the boys that are vandalizing all the PHCs, they vandalized the Sherry Olofin, they vandalized Elf in Ukotu. They were coming to Aregbesola, and I quickly went to my father's house. I said, Bale, this is the only thing we have in Okunola, and in North Okunola precisely. We have to kite this. And Bale started calling the youth. All the youth gathered together, myself and Bale. We were at Raouf Aregbesola. They came, but God drove them away. Elijah Seknot Salvador and the Director of Nursing Services of Ministry of Health also recruited and trained graduating student nurses, midwives as MNSCH super activists. Do you know, there was a time I was locked up at Gowon Estate Police Station. We want to thank Mamaye. They let us know that we should take ownership of our various PAC. Once the government build this PAC, make sure you take ownership. Things are in order. There was a day we were doing rally, and I was at Joke Orilope's father's house in Ebeda. We saw a girl roaming about, and we asked her questions. She ran away from home. Where is your house? She didn't tell us. I went to Kabiesi of Elebeda's place. Oba Samson Alade Balogun of blessed memory. We've got a new order now. Kabiesi said, Oroja, the former still in view. I said, Baba, Baba said, no. I took the girl to my house. She cleaned herself up, she ate, and the following day, I went to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Joke Orolope was the then Commissioner for Women Affairs, and we were very close. And the officer in charge said, they opened a file for the girl and said, Mama, by next week, bring the girl. They know I'm a friend to the ministry. Do you know? I don't know how they managed to know. But because Mamaye has told us, take care of a pregnant woman and the children, I took the girl to my house. All of a sudden, one evening, about 3 days later, some people came, they beat me. Took me to the One Estate Police Station, and I was locked up there. But the following morning, I told them I want to see your GPO. I saw the GPO, I said I want to make a call. They've taken everything I was holding. I made a call directly to Joke Orilope, and she said, you're on Aguilera. I said, I'm in the cell. Cell Ibaru. Yes. She sent somebody, and the officer that put me in there, and everybody was dealt with. We want to thank Mamaye. They have trained us, beyond our imagination. A woman, she's a woman, she's a girl. A girl, yes, she's a girl. Babies making babies. They saw her at Alagba. And when you get to Alimosho and see a pregnant woman or somebody, they will say, go and give that person to Yoroja. She will know how to handle it. She know how to do this, she know how to do that. Mamaye, we want to thank you. We want to thank you from the bottom of our heart on behalf of all the super activists in Lagos State. We want to say thank you to you. This award, the day you gave me this award at LTV8, whenever I look at this award is telling me to do more. When I look at it, the day you gave me this award at LTV8, I looked at this award and said, wow. So somebody is saying what I am doing, and it makes me to do more. Before I leave this podium, I want to sing a song. It is a remix song from Mamaye. And whenever I sing that song, I remember Mamaye. Komi ma poju keje ma poju, koma shala ito. Komi ma poju keje ma poju, koma shala ito. Rabi were oluwa, kato muida o kato tomo, kama siku ala boyuo, ikube eko. Thank you.
Just barely small. And immediately the training stopped because they told us, what are we training for? This is what the testimony for Mamaye has been about for me. I was introduced to MPDSR 2018 thereabouts, and since then, testimony has already been about me. I always say this something, I never have a leave. All my leave since then has been working leave. I'm on leave, I'm called. There's an MPDSR program or training for you to attend, which affects my leave. Or Ministry of Health calls me, we are coming to your facility for something, or this or that. I have to be in facility at that point in time, so I can't even say that I'm on leave. I want to travel. No, I want to leave Lagos State for a few days. I can't do it because definitely I shall not come back. I was sitting down doing my business about 2 or 3 last week when this call came in, and Shai said, "What's this? Well, be possibly one of those numbers I want to phone name." So I said it like, "Sorry, who are you? I don't know the text when I do this number." She told me it's not from online. They have been invited to this program to speak. I was like, why me? You know the game. But definitely, it's something that speaks to what I've been doing. I always say I'm a public health person trapped in pediatrics. True. Don't worry, I have a public health trainer. So ever since I've gone into experience, it's a program that marries the clinicals to the public health. Whatever you do here affects this part. And it's one of the things we have been doing, and other facilities has been doing. So whatever data we get, we look into it, see what trends we have, what's going on, and what we can do to either make the trend better, or to make it at least the way it is presently. Recently, we did our own review. We do an audit of FDSR facility to also inform what we are doing and to also get evidence-based narratives as what we put the MD for. So, as I said, Japan has happened to a little bit of us, so it affected our data for the year, a little bit, but not so bad. We are still below the national average. We are still below the state average for perinatal deaths and maternal deaths in our facility. We had months of no deaths, maternal deaths, even though we have, I said it last year, or 2022, we had a 4 months period where there was no maternal deaths. Wow. We didn't make sense about it anyway, so I think we should start making sense about it.
Yes.
That's 4 months of no maternal deaths that year. Our maternal death, our perinatal death has also been. We saw a trend, personally. Okay, let me see this. It's a trend that we saw. Now we see that even though it's still the biggest contributor to perinatal death, the asphyxia-related deaths, we see that even our preterms are also coming up in terms of the contribution to perinatal death. And these are things that will help us be able to see at the Department of Pediatrics, General Hospital of Abuja. These are things we are going to do. We have studied some of them already based on the things we saw. Data should be given priority every time we meet in our facility. Whatever are we doing, amount of data we get, how fast we should upload them. And because I know that it's a state thing, I personally put so much effort into making sure that the data we get is as accurate as possible and also uploaded as fast as possible. And I always make noise that there's no year we don't finish before time. And we do as much as possible to make sure that that continues as long as I'm here. To make sure that continues. Mamaye, thank you, because when I got to the visa, I was very, very green. Today I'm trying not to go for MPSR trainings again because I'll probably be the oldest person at the meetings. Initially, I was told to replicate myself. I always say it's because replicate, it's not because I can't replicate it. It's a passion I bring to whatever I'm doing. And as my mom always says, whatever you learn, you should never waste it. Thank you.
Dr. Mrs. Kemi Ubuyemi, and our Miego Permanent Secretary was always been there for us. Our Papa Ye himself, Dr. Richard Boboye, Dr. From, I think he's left. Okay. And all esteemed partners, our NGOs, our media people here, our colleagues, my co-chair, Dr. Landry, and my ever-working NDGSL state chairman, Dr. Emosemi. And I will not forget, the last but not the least, I just reserve it for the last, Mrs. Badiora. There's a particular trait about Mrs. Badiora that I've copied, but I've not succeeded in copying. You know, she's always glowing. Even in addressing speaks. It's always, in fact, she did not disappoint me today as well. Every time she's coming to my office, if you look at, I spend like, she doesn't know, I spend like 2 minutes looking at everything she's doing. And everything will match. You know, it glitters. She likes glittering things. Even if you look at her shoe now, I'm sure she's wearing So I noticed that to that extent. Well, a lot has been said here. I've noted so many things down. Where in the midst of good work, there is need for more work. It's a major challenge that we are giving each other. And I know that by next time we meet, Mamaye meets with us. Now our SA has said that we must have Papa for Mamaye initiative. Yes, so. And it has come to stay. So you've driven us, no doubt about it. You've given us some level of encouragement before the establishment of evidence subcommittee through LASA. In fact, it has always bothered me that how do we get, you know, our policymakers or politicians to really understand our problems. And the scorecard did it. Thank you very much. And the scorecard, it may interest you to know that we are actually having scorecard for all our indicators, all our thematic areas. Family planning has its scorecard now. Even we are trying to develop scorecard for adolescent health. Child health has scorecard. Even RANCA as a whole has scorecard. All thanks to your G3. Thank you very much. I want to really, well, I'm not supposed to do the vote of thanks, but I will not but say that we are very sorry for the short notice we gave to our guys. It shows their commitment. I'm very, very thrilled to have them here. When you have your guys, your problem is 3/4 solved. Yes, so. Because I know that Once our memo starts coming, they understand already.
Yes.
I don't need to preach too much. Thank you very much, sir, for taking time out. I know that I will still go and serve the punishment at home. And even to our essay, can't you say our essay is beautiful?
Yes, sir.
She's very, very beautiful. And the day she came, I've been praying that, Lord, who better than her can handle matter than childbearing? And God gave us to her. So, and she has promised to nurture us, to take us to the highest level.
Yes.
So I'm just saying this, for the benefit of our partners there. She's been really, really supportive. She's been supportive. She's giving us ideas and, motherly ideas, technical ideas, how we can do things better. Thank you, ma. And thank you all for taking time out.
You said someone else is doing well.
No, I still need to thank everybody because the person will do it again. Thanking is never too much. We really appreciate all your effort, and we are hopeful that we'll be able to keep the flag flying and then to keep the fire burning. Thank you very much.
Stand before you this afternoon with real nostalgia that we are living, but we are not living. To express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude. First of all, I must recognize our amiable special advisor, thank you, man, for coming. The PS, thank you, sir. You've always been a friend to Mamaye and others. Thank you so much for honoring all our events and also the working behind the scenes to ensure that the memos get signed and taking up actions when we come to
Madam Vicky.
Thank you so much, Dr. Falashade Odudara, the driver.
Yes, so
last year. We came to Lagos State in 2016 and we met with her. And right from that time, it has been a very strong partnership. We do not take your partnership lightly, ma'am. And that extends to every person in the government in Lagos State, especially Ministry of Health, the Primary Health Care Board, Health Services Commission, etc. Right now we have Ministry of Science and Technology, we have the Budget and Planning, we have the Ministry of Finance. We've worked with all of these ministries, including the Ministry of Women and Social Development. And we've had tremendous support. All of us gathered in this room at every point in time. I can recall, if I set my mind back to the very first time we introduced the Health Budget Scorecard. Right, I remember that first day. I was not the country lead. I was, the Budget Advocacy Advisor. And then Dr. Luda looked at that scorecard. Take it back. I don't think you know what you're doing. This regs, all of this is not Lagos State. And that day I took a deep breath. I was like, okay, yes, ma'am, we'll take this back. And then, of course, we're working with Mr. Bassett from the Budget and Planning. And then she said, get all the health planning officers and the DPRs and all work together. We looked at the scorecard again, we looked at the math, we did all the things, and it still came out the same way. And then, of course, everybody accepted it. But it was a good thing because we started on that footing. And we had that commitment, that acceptance from the Lagos State to do. It's very great to see that exceptional drive in Lagos State, I must say, across every other state in Nigeria. There is that excellent spirit that you want to do well and you want to work. So everyone here played a very great role in this journey that we have taken. Today we have reflected. Yes, we've seen, reflected on some of our challenges, reflected on our successes. Now the journey for E4A Mamaye comes to an end. But I tell you, we are standing on a precipice for a new beginning. I see a lot of recommendations that we have made here today. they are very deep, and we will not take that lightly. We're going to take that forward. Occasions like this also give us ideas for the future, and I must say that we have really gathered a lot of ideas from this meeting. So thank you to the activists, thank you to LASAM members, all the committees that make up LASAM. I can't begin to mention names here today, but I just want to say that from our deepest point, our hearts, we say thank you to Lagos State. Because Lagos State, you made us proud. You made us as E4A and options to be known out there for the work we have done with you. And you also excelled in the work that you did. Thank you very much.
Well, basically, this is a closeout of a partners program. But the significance of it, I think, is more about the achievements, the things we're able to achieve together, and the fact that the Lagos State government intends to continue to sustain the gains of this program, and of course to even build on those gains, and also to let the funder know that we are hoping definitely that if they're considering extending the program, they would definitely be welcome to partner with us in Lagos State for that. What I would say is we're well on the way to meeting the objectives. It's an ongoing thing. It will probably be something that will never really end, but we're well on the way, and the state intends to continue to follow those objectives. Well, I think one is to do much more of those things that we know clearly are working from the data that we're collecting. And then also, probably as the special advisor has said, to ensure we actually carry men along as much as we're carrying the women along now, because men are also decision makers in the household. So I think that's also something we need to bring to the fore about this program.
As you can see, or you saw, the power of partnership is collaboration. It's making sure the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, not just a few. As you can see, we have people from the community. She's a super activist, and the things she has done and she's told us she's done is fantastic. She herself has brought in even more partners than us. And then you've got the director who has also stated, like PS has stated, this is a step in the right direction. We have a lot more to do. We can't say now that we've done it. We have a lot more to do, collaborating with every single person that is a stakeholder. And that's the importance of partnership, because government can't do it alone. Government cannot do it alone. So we have to reach out to all those people, and that's why we have people like her and all the international partners and everybody in the community doing their own bit with us together. I think for me, from what I've heard and all the things in a nutshell, is that they've created this awareness about how every single life is important. Every single mother that is pregnant, every single child that is born deserves to have the best quality, access to care and quality. And so the legacy is, you are important, your life is important, and so we're going to do everything we can to ensure that no life is lost. It's not a matter of we want 10%, we want 0%, and that's where we're striving to, and that's why it's a collaborative effort, not just government.
We're already on the right path by all that has been said. In terms of government commitment, that is very, very strong. We are also opportunity to have a lot of our partners willing to assist us within the space of RAMCA, and then the collaboration of the community members as well. So we'll be able to sustain all the gains that have been recorded.
So I have a general maxim: life, now see you later. What we want to achieve, it's not the end. We've just begun a new journey. What we have seen from the conversations today and from the engagements and the testimonials is that there's a shared value to achieve zero maternal mortality, at least, if not entire Nigeria, in Lagos. And we've seen that in facilities where there are records, since 2018 there is no maternal death yet reported. And so that collaboration is here to stay. It's a moving train that has moved, whether we are here or not. And what the collective will do is that the SLAM is here, the co-chair is here, the civil society people are here, you, the media, you are here. So there's no going back, there's no stopping the budgets and the allocations for LASAM to do its work and function effectively is there. So I think we have worked ourselves out of the job. And the only thing that we want to do is to take this beautiful light in Lagos and take it to the rest of Nigeria and the rest of West Africa that I oversee, the rest of Central Africa and the rest of Africa, so they can see that it is possible to achieve zero maternal deaths in our facilities by learning and doing what Lagos has done. Lagos is working, other locations can work. And that is the learning that we want to sustain. And that's why the LASAM we hope will remain a learning hub for others to come and get light from. And we'll be there to make sure that potentially there will be a client who will be a donor who will say, well, this light, let's make sure we safeguard it. Those global public goods or tools that have been developed, let's keep it available. And we want to make it, and that's why the theme of this program is very important. How can we achieve localization through local actors in our communities, in our states, and deliver universal coverage for all? That's the biggest question. We are all in it together, and I think we can make it work since we've agreed to make it work. Lagos has agreed, it's working, let's just keep doing it.
Thank you.
My name is Esther Agbon. I'm the country lead Evidence for Action, Mamaye. Talking about the global public goods, which we call GPGs. These are tools, approaches, resources in which that have been published, and they are on our website that civil society, even government or other partners, implementing partners can use to be able to engage in whether it's budget advocacy or coalition building or being able to understand gender equality and social inclusion, how you do that, how you integrate that into your project. So we have a couple, a lot of global public goods that we have developed. We didn't develop it on our own, but we developed it in conjunction with members of the accountability mechanism, CSOs, and ordinary citizens. In that way, there are things that they are able to use and work with it in their organizations respectively. And so we have done that, use those resources to strengthen the capacity of Lagos State accountability mechanism and other accountability mechanisms across Nigeria. Of course, I mentioned earlier that we have about 13 of those mechanisms across the states where we have worked in Nigeria. And so these are legacies we have left behind and resources that anyone can use. Going forward, what we're doing is that we're bringing together all the accountability mechanisms we worked with here in Nigeria as well as outside Nigeria to I don't want to say form, already a Mamaye Africa collective has been put together. It already has a board. And so the board is in the process of recruiting more members. And the sole objective of the Mamaye Africa Collective is to advocate and put on the front burner priority issues of women, children, newborn, and girls. Bringing them to the front burner of policymakers to ensure that they make decisions that would ultimately save the lives of mothers and babies. And so what is where we are in the journey right now is that the board is going to look at recruiting members into the Mamaye Africa Collective. And membership includes civil society organizations,
coalitions can all become members. So it's not limited to whether you were part of LASAM or you were part of CANSLAM or you were part of another SLAM in another state. It's open to all those passionate people that want to drive issues around maternal, newborn and child health.
I thank God. My name is Abiodun Orojagiwa. What I can pick from Alimosho local government, a super activist. What I can pick from Mamaye is I am myself. The encouragement, they let me know what I can do, what I can give back to the society. I thank God we were trained to train others. I remember vividly the day we were taken to Abeokuta at Continental Suites and Hotels in Ibarra to train us. We were there for a week. You see, we never knew we are the owner of the PHCs until Mamaye came in. Mamaye came in and trained on, and they told us, you are the owner of your PHC. Once the government puts the PHC in place and they have handed it over, then the community will take over. It is Mamaye that allows us to know this. During the time of EndSARS, you know how many health centers that were being pulled down? In Alimosho, Isheri Olofi was pulled down. Elf at Ikoto was burnt down totally. And they were coming to Rauf Aregbesola. I quickly called people, my ballet, the youth within the community. We all gathered. This is the only thing we've got. And you see, we stood. We slept at Rauf. Our youth was able to send all other youths that was coming from outside to pull down our PAC. They were able to send them away with the assistance of God Almighty. I thank God. In other aspects, we visit our PAC very often, make sure things are in order, make sure the staffs are working. We are not their boss, but they know. As the SMC chairman and Alimosho local government comprises of 6 LCDA. Back then, when I got there, we are friends. I go to the MOH, the Apex Nurse, the Apex CHO. We go to them. The OIC is in charge of any PhD. The OIC is in charge. We go to them. What are the things you need? And if we see anything we can assist at the food demonstration, section, we gave them gas. We gave them gas. We do so many things. When the running water was asphalt, we call in the plumbers to refix. So many other things like that we do.